the tree doctor himself, like the Lorax is what I call him, who literally speaks for the trees. Like, I think one is on his list of the salt kills that's why they all die and are subjected.
Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Wow, okay. Can I get somebody to adopt the agenda or move to adopt the agenda?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, passes. We do not have on our agenda, we open with prayer and the pledge, but we do open every business meeting with that. So Jordan, could I ask you to offer the prayer, and Paul, could I ask you to lead us in the pledge? Sure.
Our Father in heaven, we are truly grateful to be gathered together today to help guide policy in the city of Syracuse. We are grateful for thy guidance and for thy wisdom. So please bless us with a measure of thy wisdom as we discuss the topics at hand today. We are grateful for the moisture we received and thankful for thine abundance. And please bless us that we can all be mindful of our neighbors and friends and all those around us, that we can help make lives better. We are grateful for many blessings, and this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to call up Chief Byington. We have a presentation, the Managing Fire Officer designation for Captain Nance.
Yes, thank you for letting me have a little bit of your agenda time. I know it's valuable, so we'll go ahead and start. I'll have Captain Nance come forward and I'll read this here. Captain Kyle Nance has been awarded the Utah Managing Fire Officer designation as outlined by the International Association of Fire Chiefs and adopted by the Utah Commission on Fire Officer Designation. Captain Nance has combined hundreds of hours of training, education, and experience to meet the requirements for this designation. His hard work and commitment to this process shows his dedication not only to the Utah State Fire Service, but to Syracuse City and our department as well. For the Managing Fire Officer, there have only been 12 Managing Fire Officers awarded in the state. We're now awarding our third in Syracuse, so this is pretty awesome. Please join me in congratulating Captain Nance for attaining this designation. There's a nice plaque and a pin that he gets to put on his uniform that comes with that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Now, we will have the next agenda item as well.
Yes. We've got some new firefighters that I'd like to introduce to you. Some of them have been right around January till about now. So we've got a group of them. So I'll have them come up front when I read their name, and then I'll give you a little bit of information about them. So first is firefighter AEMT Tisha Emery. She was hired full-time in January of 2024. She's been employed with Syracuse as a part-time firefighter since May of 2022. And she brings several years of experience as a part-time firefighter with Morgan Fire. And she's assigned to C shift. So the next one is firefighter AEMT Nakoa Sedang, hired in January of 2024, full-time. What's that? Were you just going to sit there? Oh. My back was turned. I missed it.
We're not telling.
Okay. Probably a good thing. He's new to the fire service and started his career with Syracuse City when he was hired as a part-time firefighter in November of 2022. Nakoa is assigned to A shift. So the next one we have is firefighter AEMT Kyle Kaneshiro. He was hired full-time in March of 2024. He's been employed with Syracuse City as a part-time firefighter since October of 2022. He brings several years of experience as a part-time firefighter with Plain City Fire, and he is assigned to C shift. Next, we have firefighter AEMT Dakota Kistler. He was hired full-time this year, March 2024. He comes to us from Weber Fire, where he's worked as a part-time firefighter for their wildland program. He also works for Washington Terrace Fire Department, and he is assigned to A shift. I've got one extra, didn't know that they were going to be called up, but Dallin Wilkes. Dallin Wilkes, firefighter AEMT. He's a second-generation firefighter. And he is a full-time engineer with South Jordan Fire. He just started this month with us as a part-time firefighter. So we're happy. I worked with his dad for several years. His dad retired, about a year and a half ago or so, year ago. So anyway, these are our new firefighters that we got. Please welcome them to our family.
Welcome.
Syracuse.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great bunch. We'll now entertain public comment. We have one that came in writing. I'm going to have Cassie start by reading that one.
Okay, this email is from Keith Lindstrom. He says, "Dear council members, as you vote tonight on the new mixed-use zone changes, I want you to think about a few things. The city has adopted a town center overlay for the city. Per the city's published description, the town center overlay is as follows. Town centers are the locally serving areas of economic, entertainment, and community activity. The size of a town center makes it an employment center and shopping destination for surrounding neighborhoods. Buildings typically stand 2 or more stories with condominiums or apartments over storefronts. Public open spaces often helps to organize and support commercial uses. The design and scale encourage active living with a comprehensive and interconnected network of walkable streets." Then the next paragraph states, "Mixed-use neighborhoods offer residents the ability to live, shop, work, and play in one community. They include a mixture of housing types and residential densities within close proximity to the goods and services residents need on a daily basis." Further, in the city's document, it states that the intent of the town center is as follows. The land uses in this node integrate both the town center and the mixed-use place types together in order to synergize the energies of both. This creates a place where professional offices can tuck next to commercial retail and restaurants and adjacent to open space. This is not just a commercial center, but a livable place where you can eat your lunch or walk your dog. Buildings are encouraged to be vertically mixed use wherever feasible, with ground floor retail or office and residential buildings. The key sentence there in your document is that this is not just a commercial center, which is what you're effectively going to vote for if you approve the new acreage. I'm sure the city spent a lot of time and thousands of dollars on researching the town center overlay zones. As stated from all these quotes from the town center design guidelines, the city has adopted the intent of this area as a mixed-use area with commercial on the bottom and living areas over them. That was the goal of the city and the intent. By putting in an acreage requirement on mixed use, the city is saying that all the time and money spent on this town center overlay was for nothing if you vote for the acreage increases. This acreage increase is essentially making it so no more mixed use can be put into this town center overlay node, so you might as well just vote to repeal the town center overlays because that is essentially what you're doing tonight if you vote for the acreage increases. I ask you to follow the intent of the town center overlay zone and not increase the mixed use acreage requirements for that area.
Okay. We only have one in the audience. So would you like to make a public comment? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close public comment then. The next is we have some minutes from February 13th, both special meeting and regular city meeting, and February 27th work session that need approval. Does anybody have any amendments, or would somebody like to make a motion that we approve those minutes?
I motion that we approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Paul was looking at me like I wasn't at a nerd convention
thought-
all week. I didn't have.
You were in charge of reviewing.
No.
Took over from Seth.
Okay, we're moving past that. Item number 6, proposed resolution R 24-07, appointing Scott Bond, Britt Clark, Chris Larson, and Ben Holbrook to the Syracuse City Disaster Preparedness Committee. These are names that have been reviewed and submitted. Does anybody have any conjecture here, or would you like to just make a motion?
Gordon, anything to say about that?
No, they've all been submitted by their respective districts, so I'm in favor of this. So I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve the names listed on R 24-07 to the Disaster Preparedness Committee.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 7 is proposed resolution R 24-08, affirming the Syracuse City Council's review of the municipal wastewater planning program annual self-assessment. We reviewed this already, so I don't think there's much to say here, other than we do need to affirm publicly that we have reviewed this in a previous meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I propose, I guess, any discussion?
Yeah, no,
Okay. I propose that we pass resolution R 24-08, affirming the Syracuse City Council's review of the municipal wastewater planning program annual self-assessment.
Second?
moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. On to proposed ordinance R 24-08. Wait a minute, no, R 2024-05, amending the Syracuse City Code section 10.92.040, adding minimum acreage to the adjusted amount of required commercial space in the mixed use projects or zone project. So we can have any discussion here. We did have a public comment regarding this. I'd like to respond to that comment and just say that those interpretations I find somewhat inaccurate. And when we've reviewed the overlay zone many times, and the intent has always been that it would be a more walkable business center, not, I mean, we are a long way from the part that they're trying to accomplish here. In fact, I actually considered maybe we should actually repeal the town overlay because it's not meeting what it used to be requesting. So
No.
any other thoughts? Well, that we're not doing that.
I know.
But the mixed use zone, look, I'm in favor of a minimum acreage. We've had too many incidences where it was just proposed to be abused as a zone for apartments.
Yeah, in my humble opinion, I think the mixed use zone, when initially created, I think it was the the target was missed. And so since then, we've been trying to adapt and get it to a point where it could be functional and it can drive commercial business, which I think was always the intent of the mixed use zone, not to have an overwhelming majority of a project be residential, high density with just a spattering of commercial. So we've talked about this ad nauseum, and what we've done with the minimum acreage and the required commercial portions, I'm in favor of.
Okay, so I'm going to go along there with you all the way up to the point where you said the target was missed, and I have a different reason as to what comes next. Instead of just repealing it, that we made a mistake putting it in the first place, we've just continued to adjust it to try and fit needs. And I agree with you. I feel like the city center and town overlay should be business. And when you start adding the rest of that in there, you need a certain amount of space because it's been manipulated over time by builders.
Yep.
So if they want to complain about it, we'll hand them back the credit. It has been manipulated by the builders to fit what they would like to build. And we have seen that as a city, and some of us just don't support that anymore.
Yeah.
And it seems like we've been trying to say, oh, well, we can fix it for this. We can fix it for this, instead of saying we made a mistake and shouldn't have done this in the first place. So I agree with Paul. I agree that this is the minimum that we should have. And
Any others?
Oh, I agree with that too. It's the required minimum. That will help the most for economic development. That's how I feel.
In my opinion, I think the biggest issue we've ever had with mixed use was that it was mostly residential and token commercial. I think we're addressing that in the minimum required acreage or square footage for business. I'm not convinced that 5 is the right number. I could go either. So I'm absolutely agree on the new ratio from business to commercial. There has to be significant commercial to approve any type of residential multi-family component, 3 stories, whatever it may be. I'm not convinced on the acreage, though. I don't know what the right number is. Maybe 5 is an acceptable one. I guess I'd like to hear if anybody, I know in the last meeting, there was a couple of the council members that had some reservations on the acreage. I guess I'd like to hear from them and see if they've had any additional thoughts since then.
I was one of those, and that was
Okay.
my additional thoughts are good. I feel good about it. And I honestly agree that I think we should look into just nixing this mixed use zone, but that's just in my humble opinion.
I don't see that the minimum acreage provides any benefit or purpose. I think that the council retains authority to deal with projects as they come in. I don't see that there's very many properties left in the city that are 5 acres or over, but I do think that there are a few that would fit the smaller acreage. I think with the authority of the council that we would be able to address that. I do agree with Council Member Savage that the ratios need to be much higher than what they've been in the past, and that there needs to be a commercial focus on those zones, on the mixed use zone. But the minimum acreage doesn't do it for me. I do agree with the increased commercial component of it.
So Councilman Savage, let me just bring up that you were one of the ones that said we need a minimum acreage.
Totally agree.
Okay. So
I think there
He's
should be a
allowed to
minimum
change his
acreage.
mind after some research. He's allowed to change his
He
mind.
is. He is. I'm just trying to.
I believe that there is a size at which it doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, I don't think you can do multiple or housing and a business on a half acre. That's not gonna, I mean, unless they really come up with some incredible stuff. But I don't know if 5 is the right number, because one thing that has been brought up by a few members of staff is that this does leave some holes in the city that, again, they could just be commercial, and that's always an option. So I could go either way on that. I am definitely in favor of the ratios. I think they're a lot more in line with what I'd like to see. But it sounds like we've got 3 that are in favor of the 5 acres as the minimum acreage.
So I just wanted to clarify that because I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if you were changing what you'd said before.
No, I believe in
just
the minimum
not
acreage.
sure
I just
that-
don't know. I don't know if 5 is.
I just know in our discussions, and in particular, we had that one, was on 2000, it was that 1 acre mixed use
Yeah.
proposal where we were trying to find a number that you could make an impactful development with a mix of commercial and residential. And we just didn't want people thinking like, we didn't want people wasting their time coming with small
We
development.
didn't want them wasting their money.
Yeah, and their money, and we didn't want them, so we wanted to, I think 5 is a safe acreage to say, okay, you can do mixed use at this point and you can make it an impactful mixed use. It's enough acreage to do that.
I would agree with that. So having heard from everybody, and is there somebody who'd like to make a motion?
I move that we approve proposed ordinance 2024-5, amending Syracuse City Code Section 10.92.040 to add minimum acreage and adjust the amount of required commercial space in a mixed-use zone.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Hey, did I hear from you, Julie? Sorry.
That was a nay.
Oh, okay, great.
She was an aye, I think.
All right, so I just wanted to clarify that it was 4-1. I understand we passed. So,
No, I did not. I and
no. No, everyone's allowed to vote their mind. That's fine. All right, let's move on to proposed resolution R 24-09, adopting an updating wage scale for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. We do address this every year. According to, the research that has been done, I don't know that there's much more to talk about. It's been presented, but if there's any comments, go ahead.
It's in line with our,
It is in
Policy.
line with our
Yep.
policy. If there's no discussion, I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve proposed resolution R 24-09, adopting an updated wage scale for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024.
second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That appears to pass unanimously. Now we have public comment. And would you care to make a public comment now? Oh, you're still good. All right. Just checking, want to be thorough. All right. So I'm going to close public comment and I'm going to suspend this meeting so that we can go into the redevelopment agency meeting before we go to mayor and council announcements. So I'd like to call to order the Syracuse City Redevelopment Agency meeting. The first item on the agenda is to authorize the administration to execute reimbursement agreement with Syracuse Flex LLC, a flex industrial project located near State Road SR 193 and 1000 West. Any discussion on this item? Okay, do I have a motion?
I move that we approve to authorize administration to execute reimbursement agreement with Syracuse Flex LLC for a flex industrial project located near State Road 193 and 1000 West.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 3 is to authorize the administration to execute reimbursement agreement with Trico Holdings LC for a flex industrial project near Antelope Drive and Bluff Ridge Road. Any discussion on that item?
And this was just up to 60,000.
It was like 52,000, I think.
It says the project area expires in 2031, estimated property tax rebate of around 60,000
Okay,
total,
yeah.
or about 10,000
Yeah.
per year, assuming they build quickly and it meets the
Yeah.
property
Yeah.
assessment that we anticipate it would.
Okay, so any further discussion? If not, I'll take a motion.
I move that we authorize administration to execute reimbursement agreement with Trico Holdings LC for a flex industrial project near Antelope Drive and Bluff Ridge Road.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I am now going to adjourn us from the redevelopment agency meeting and bring us back to the Syracuse City Council meeting where we will begin with Brett. Do you have any announcements for the council?
Nothing for me tonight, thanks.
Okay. Julie?
I attended the North Davis Communities That Care Council for the first time, and this is a group that runs the SHARP survey for 5 cities. And the SHARP survey is Student Health and Risk Prevention Survey. It's conducted by the Department of Health, and it's given to students age 6 through 12. And I learned that out of the coalition of cities, Sunset, Syracuse, Clinton, Clearfield, West Point,
Mhm.
that Syracuse is the only one that doesn't participate.
That would be Syracuse High.
Syracuse High.
Yeah. So
Yep.
Syracuse High, all those cities attend either Syracuse or Clearfield High. Clearfield participated this year. I went to the meeting, by the way, I'm saying this because I went to the meeting before Julie went. Syracuse High did not participate, and I'm not sure why. I have asked, but didn't get really much of an answer.
So the SHARP survey is the reason why they're not participating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
so
they
it's-
participate in other things.
Yes, well, it's 45 minutes out of their time, of the students' time during the day. It's a confidential, where they're asking a lot of personal questions. However, it can't be tracked back to the individual student, and it's voluntary, and it's pretty important that they gather that kind of data so that they can use that to help with substance abuse and mental health needs of every city. So it's pretty important, but I will be attending the annual Utah Prevention Coalition Summit. That's from June 12th to 14th. So I hope to learn a lot more at that summit.
Great. Anything else? Okay, all right, Paul.
I was just, I don't have any updates. The planning commission, last 2 meetings have been canceled, so.
Okay.
Updates from me.
Jordan.
All right, I have a few things. So the upcoming month of April is when Utah does the Great Shakeout. You will be seeing on Facebook and in the April magazine a lot of information about an exercise we are going to be doing in Syracuse. It'll be on the morning of Saturday, April 20th. And what we're asking residents to do is just before 10 o'clock or the night before, whenever you want, is to put something either red or, let's see, green, either in a front window or on your porch or by your mailbox. We're actually going to have people go out. We have representatives in each area that will go out and count those, and we're just going to see how many they find, and then we're going to check out the communication from the area all the way up to the city to verify that we can successfully pass information. In a disaster, one of the places that most quickly falls apart in the disaster strategy is getting information to the people that can act on it reliably. So we wanted to just practice that. Hopefully we can, if we find any bugs, we can work those out. So if we ever do a real disaster in the city, we will be well practiced in getting information to where it's needed. Another item is the recycling subcommittee that you guys assigned me to in the last meeting. We met on Friday. We were able to identify some grants that should help us reduce the cost of the recycling cans. And I think we've got it narrowed down to about 3 different options we'll probably be presenting in one of the upcoming meetings to go over some of the paths forward for us on recycling in the city in order to meet the mandate put down from the district. Any questions? Feel free to reach out. That's it.
So I got just a couple things. One of them was communities that care wanted to be put on our agenda to request use of city properties. Again, they do that every year. And
I think that's on our next agenda.
I thought is this for the?
We did, but so.
for the illumination, we took
decided-
care of
We
that.
gave that to him in perpetuity.
No,
Yeah.
we did not. And here's
Oh.
why.
I thought we did too.
So my understanding is that we did it through the end of that council and that we would be able to do it again through the end of this council.
Okay.
It is on the next agenda. I have told them there's no issue that I'm aware of, but in theory, we can only go as far as we're authorized
To vote on.
Okay.
to vote on it.
Makes
I can
sense.
see that.
And then
It's on the next agenda for discussion, but I told them that if they have a need, we can handle it.
perfect. And then the farmer's market update, I talked to Ms. Cressa and we kind of narrowed down a few places that would be ideal. There's a couple that I need to get in contact with. I was going to contact them last week, but I was at the mosquito abatement conference and that was a wild, fun time.
Sure.
It was insane. But we won't be using Founders Park. That's for sure. That's at Nick. So one of the problems that we're looking at is actually, and I know Mr. Rex Harris from UDOT probably does. I'm the last person he probably wants to talk to, but we were going to discuss possibly using one of the park and ride areas, small space in that. But we don't know. We still got to discuss that with Utah, or with UDOT and stuff because it's. Oh, okay, forgive me, you guys, but I call it Little California, the southwest, way southwest area of Syracuse, those new houses over there, because a lot of people live over there from California. And I feel like they really love their local produce. So that one on 2000 will probably be prime ideal to have a farmer's market right there. So if I can,
Got some visibility from the freeway.
exactly. And would be able for people from other cities to get to it pretty quickly and make it accessible. And, but these folks that Ms. Cressa put me in contact with, and the mayor, I believe, spoke with them. They have a ton of experience with farmers markets, just being able to find a location with lighting and that they're not going to get kicked out of and move to another one. That's kind of what the problem that we're running into. And come August, all the parks are used for football, all of them. So even if we were over by the fire department all the way up until August, we would still get kicked out and have to go somewhere else. And our second thought for that was maybe the Syracuse Arts Academy parking lot. And they're pretty good about the use of their parking lot. So if we can't guilt trip UDOT into letting us use that, maybe it was the Syracuse Arts Academy might be able to help us out. So, but so far it's looking pretty good that we might be able to get it early or late spring early summer going.
My understanding from my friend Rex is that he's retired. So we'll have to get you to.
Oh, man,
we'll have to
probably,
get you to the
I,
person.
anytime there's
not
poor,
responding.
poor Mr. Rex. He was,
He's not
it
responding.
was a thorn for him.
He's retired.
He,
So
this project was probably
Drove him
his
into retirement.
diamond on the top. You know what? I've heard that a time or two.
I think he's working for a different group now.
Good for him.
He reached the point where he couldn't benefit anymore for continuing to work.
But you
for the
move
state.
out to move up, you
Right.
know, so find another place you can do a little higher. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it.
So
Good
he's-
for him.
he's
Congratulations to
retired.
him. I'm gonna have to find the new guy and be
Yeah.
like, hey, nice
I
to
will
meet
reach
you.
out.
All
I think that Rob White is probably the guy we want to contact. And we'll-
right, sounds good.
all right, anything else?
Nope, that is
Okay.
it.
All right, another, from the Arts Council, they had a concert last night where they performed Tchaikovsky's Second Symphony. I was not able to attend, so I don't know how that went, but they did come forward with their new guest artist who is under contract. So in May, they will be doing Kurt Bester. And this will be a paid concert because there are fees with guest artists. They do that every year with a guest artist. But from what I understand, this is significantly below the typical prices for Kurt Bester. So if you're a Kurt Bester fan, this is a chance, and tickets are on sale now. So also they are signing up auditions for the summer musical, which is Newsies, and that's getting a lot of traction. Those are my issues for tonight. And without anything further from the council, anyone? We will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I'm gonna go back to that one.
If you end up, yeah, you want to end up, you know, yeah. I think I can see what problem you have that one is. Wetland around that.
I think I would have a mosquito thing. Twice a month, not every week. Maybe once every other week.
And when you said that, I was like, "Thanks for coming."
I would have a mosquito around there.